morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time you decide to do your learning. Today we're going to talk about how to write an amazing essay. This hopefully is a review for most of you, but reviews never hurt anybody. Let's get into the learning. So, Miss Russell, how do you write an amazing essay, you ask? Well, we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about the 6 traits of writing and how focusing on those 6 traits can help you write the best essay. So, first, you need to start with a strong idea. Do some pre-writing and make sure you know what your purpose is. So, why are you writing this essay in the first place? Who your audience is? Who is going to read this essay? And what your message is. Yes, I do realize I have a typo there, but we're not going to fix it right now. So, what point are you trying to get across in this essay? Knowing that rhetorical triangle of purpose, audience, and message before you get started writing is really important to having an awesome essay. Next, establish your voice. So, make sure as you write, the reader can tell you are invested and care about the topic. So, the more you care about the topic, the more authentic and original it will be. Your essay should reflect your perspective on the topic, whatever it is. The reason I put the point of voice prior to writing is because if you're not at least a little bit excited about your topic before you get started writing, it's going to be hard to have a strong, authentic voice. So if at this point you're like, meh, don't really care about my topic, maybe consider picking something that you do care about. After having a strong idea and establishing your voice related to that idea, we're going to talk about essay organization. So, right off the bat, get in the habit of having a great introduction. Yes, I know I spelled habit wrong, but I did that on purpose. It's an acronym standing for hook, background information, and thesis. In your introduction, you should have a hook/attention getter, which includes one of these strategies. So either setting the scene, a rhetorical question, an interesting fact, a shocking statement, a relevant quote, or an anecdote. If you really want to get fancy, you could combine 2 to 3 of these to make a really strong hook or attention getter. Make sure your introduction starts off interesting and you make a good first impression with the reader. Next, you're going to include some background information. Now, this step is more or less essential depending on what kind of essay you are writing or what your topic is. But, for example, say you're writing a literary analysis. You need to pretend that the reader of your essay has not read the book you're analyzing. So it would be at this point that you would give a small summary or some background information about the book you're analyzing. Make sure that by the time you get to your thesis, the reader has enough information to understand the point you're trying to make. So after the hook and the background information, you will get to your thesis. So the thesis is a single sentence that states your claim and previews the evidence supporting that claim. For example, Spider-Man is the best Marvel superhero. There's my claim, the point I'm trying to argue, because, first piece of evidence, he has an entertaining, sarcastic sense of humor. Second piece of evidence, he has exceptional willpower that allows him to consistently defeat superior opponents. Third piece of evidence, and his rise from geeky underdog to confident hero is an empowering story anyone can relate to. So, other than maybe hearing it from English teachers or reading about it in other places, you might be wondering, why do I need 3 points in my thesis? Or why do I need 3 supporting details to make my argument as strong as it can be? Well, that's a great question. You don't necessarily need 3, but you should have at least 3. So the reason I have this little stool icon over here is as you're writing an argument, I want you to imagine that your argument has to sit atop a stool. Now, if the stool only had one leg or only one piece of supporting evidence, your argument would not stand up very strong. If the stool had two legs or two pieces of evidence, it might stand up, but it would be pretty easy to kick that argument over. However, if the stool where your argument is sitting has three legs or three pieces of evidence, that's the minimum number you need to really have a strong argument. So to have that argument stand up strong. So think about this metaphor as you are constructing your thesis statement. The thesis statement is arguably the most important part of your essay. So before we move on past the introduction, I want to give you a few more tips for having a strong thesis. First, make sure your thesis has a strong angle. This means that it should not be too specific. Second, avoid oversimplifying the subject. So just like it shouldn't be too specific, it also shouldn't be too broad. You have to find that sweet spot. Third, make sure that you can justify your reasoning. Before you move past your thesis, make sure that you have tons of reasons for why you're making the claim that you are making. Fourth, have a strong why. So, why are you writing about this thesis in the first place? This message that you're telling in your essay should be a message that needs to be told to someone somewhere, even if it's just your English teacher. Fifth, use strong word choice. So make sure that within your thesis statement, you describe your ideas with unique adjectives and strong verbs. And then finally, understand that a thesis can change as you write. Once you write your thesis, if you get into the body paragraphs of your essay and you discover a new point to your argument you didn't think about before, you can easily go back and edit that thesis statement. Now that we've talked about the introduction, let's move on to the body paragraphs of your essay. You should make sure that you have focused body paragraphs, meaning that they should each cover a topic that relates back to the thesis in your essay. They should start off with a topic sentence. So this is a sentence that relates back to the thesis and expresses the main idea of the body paragraph that it occurs in. Each body paragraph should include some evidence. This evidence should be relevant and should support your thesis statement. Some examples of evidence include personal anecdotes, examples or observations, quotes/text evidence. Don't forget to use the quote sandwich, which includes a lead-in, the quote itself, and an analysis of that quote, facts, statistics, definitions. Keep in mind connotative versus denotative definitions. If you're working on a definition that has a specific connotation within your argument, make sure you establish that definition early on in your essay. Descriptive details, and then logical reasoning. These are things like comparing and contrasting, using cause and effect, and then if/then statements. I do have a link below to a Google Slides all about these types of evidence and when it's great to use them. If you're interested in a video specifically about this, let me know in the comments below. And then within your body paragraphs, don't forget to end the body paragraph by analyzing, explaining, or connecting each piece of evidence back to the thesis. An essay should build. So starting with your argument, you should build on top of it from there. After you have body paragraphs, you will move on to the conclusion. In your conclusion, you want to start by restating your thesis statement. Now, this is not copying and pasting the thesis statement from the introduction, but it's just making sure that you restate the whole point of your essay somewhere within your conclusion. You also want to make sure you synthesize the main points. This is much better than summary. Summary is a brief statement or account of the main points of something, whereas synthesis is the combination of ideas to form a theory, system, or argument. While it's okay to summarize, the whole purpose of an essay is to build on an argument, so synthesis is much stronger. Return to your why, or give the reader a reason to care. They just read this whole essay of yours. Why does it matter? Then, end with a thought-provoking statement. Some teachers and literature will call this either a zinger or a clincher. It's the same thing. Some strategies for your thought-provoking statement would be to frame the essay by calling back to your hook/attention getter in the intro, asking a rhetorical question, making sure that the rhetorical question includes your argument in some way. This strategy is probably the easiest one to have fall flat at the end of your essay, so only do it if you can do it really well. Pick a strong quote that synthesizes your ideas and makes the reader think. Establish a connection with the reader by making it relevant to them in some way. Or, finally, connect to a larger argument that your argument relates to and zoom out. I have a whole Google Slides about these strategies and when to use them linked below. If you're interested in a video where I talk about those, let me know. After you have written this awesome, well-organized essay, you're not done. You have to revise. When you revise, I suggest you start by revising for sentence fluency. Make sure that your sentences begin with a variety of different words. You use all types of sentences, including simple, complex, compound, and compound complex. You use a variety of different transition words. Your sentences have interesting rhythm with prepositional phrases, appositives, adjectives out of order, and other writing brushstrokes. The reason I have the globe there is as you revise, you're going to slowly get further and further into the small details of your essay. Sentence fluency is, right after organization, the biggest thing to look at. We're going to zoom in just a little bit, and after the sentence is the word. So next you should revise for word choice and make sure that you use strong verbs, you balance your linking and action verbs, your adjectives are unique, thoughtful, and fit the topic really well, your nouns are precise, and you don't overuse pronouns. Also, side note, make sure you don't have any vague pronouns. A vague pronoun is when you use a pronoun and it's not quite sure what it relates to. This can really make your writing confusing, so try to avoid those as much as possible. If you have a revise for sentence fluency and word choice, you are going to edit. Remember that revision is making it better and editing is making it right. This is why you want editing to be the last step. Your writing should follow the standard written rules of grammar, including correct spelling, capitalization and punctuation, and correct sentence structure. You really want to hop in that metaphorical spaceship, get down and look at the nitty-gritty details of your essay. Making sure that you have good conventions really establishes your credibility as a writer. Even if your ideas are amazing, if you have constant spelling and grammar errors, it's going to be much less likely that your reader believes in the argument that you've worked so hard to build. Let's review some concepts. So, when you write an amazing essay, you need to have great ideas. You need to have voice, making sure that you care enough about the topic to make it interesting. You should have great organization, so a clear, interesting introduction, focused body paragraphs, and a memorable conclusion. You should make sure that you have sentence fluency, including clear sentences with lots of variety and structure, word choice with strong verbs and unique adjectives, and then conventions. So establish your credibility by following all of the grammatical rules. I hope that the next essay you write is amazing. Have a great day.